Okay?
Earlier this week, you guys sent out a release about terminating your relationship with ATF having access to those license plate readers. Can you talk a little bit about why they initially did have access, and if that was for some sort of safety measure, how you guys are filling the gap now that they aren't going to be working with that?
Well, I'll start by saying, ATF is an invaluable partner with us, and I think an analyst in February granted access to one of their analysts to our system. I'm sure that it didn't occur to them that ATF would be, and ATF deals specifically, historically with illegal gun possession, that sort of thing, gangs. We work very closely with them. So I'm sure it didn't occur to him that they would be tasked with an additional responsibility of immigration enforcement. So that was granted, and when we learned about it, it was obviously very concerning to me, because I know, in this business, we build, we build trust in thimbles and we lose it in buckets. And when I knew that this happened, I knew it was going to be a problem. So when I learned about it, I called the special agent in charge at ATF, asked him to come down for a meeting from Washington. We had a very candid conversation on Monday. And while we're going to continue to partner where we can, I've been very clear with the supervisors of all the federal agencies in which we have task force officers about our officers not participating in that. And not because, and I want to be clear too, it's not that I'm saying that ICE or anyone else is doing something wrong. It's just a completely separate mission than we have. And when I look at crime in our city, I need people to feel comfortable calling 911. I need people to feel comfortable talking to my detectives about what happens to them. A disturbing trend we've found, and it's not a scientific study, but in Southwood, mid-year, which is a large Latino population, I don't know the demographics on legal or illegal, but I know that 34% reduction in calls for 911 are down this year as compared to last year. Same percentage, 34% less of those designated calls for domestic violence. So I'm sure there are women who are being abused in Southwood who are not calling the Richmond Police Department, and that concerns me greatly.
I was going to sort of build off of that with that exact question. Are you seeing situations with cases that are maybe going to the prosecution stage, and people, we saw what happened in Chesterfield, and the Commonwealth's attorney expressing concern that witnesses might not show up to testify for fear of being taken when they come to do that? Have you, beyond just this call data you're noticing at Southwood, have you noticed any other potential impacts of fear of ICE involvement because of engagements with police and prosecutors?
We have access to our Commonwealth attorney, so I'll invite Ms. McKeechan to come down. But when I've highlighted this case before, but her office successfully prosecuted 2 individuals who robbed 7 different folks from the Latino community. They were, these were American robbers robbing these individuals, and we were able to convince those individuals to come to court and testify and bear witness in John Marshall Court Building and say what happened to them, and we were able to hold those individuals accountable. So, Ms. McKeechan, do you have a thought on that, what you're seeing?
What I will say about that is that we have noticed some hesitation on the part of people who have Hispanic or Spanish surnames coming to court. We have a very active victim witness advocate program, and so when those individuals are victims of violent crimes or any crime, we work with them to reassure them that we are not going to allow the prosecution of violent crime to be hindered by the attitude that some people have about whether or not the victim is a citizen or a legal resident. That cannot be our North Star. Our North Star is public safety for everyone. And so that is where we are. Right now, we have not had to dismiss a case against a violent offender because the victim was Hispanic or Spanish-speaking and reluctant to come. We nurture them and support them and get them to the point where they trust us and recognize that they will not be harmed. And in fact, I want to let everyone know that there is something called a U visa, U like umbrella, and that is a visa that the federal government can give victims who cooperate and testify and work with law enforcement to make sure that violent criminals and the offenders are put away. And if that happens, then the victim is able, through an attorney, to apply for a U visa. And if the U visa is granted, they have 3 years of automatic status in the United States because of their cooperation with public safety. So it works well on both sides. Thank you, Chief.